Wow, this could go any which way. Right, before I have some questions for Charles, but I'm going to save them up. David, let's start with you. Charles has had a long journey, but so has the genesis of this film idea. And I think one of the real many strengths of the film is how well developed the characters are, and you develop them first on the stand-up scene. Can you tell us a bit more about how you found them, actually? Where did they come from?
Well, originally... God, I'm back here again.
Can't have a serious conversation.
Such an interesting insight, David. I love this story.
It's a good one.
Oh, bloody hell. I can't be bothered now. I know what this is.
Yeah, we should just give up.
So originally, I did a video diary in my flat of Brian. That's the first time I did him, and he was this guy who would travel around music festivals and in a lorry and suck all the shit out the toilets. That was his job, and then he'd go home and dress as a clown and kind of entertain himself, but that didn't work. So I
Good backstory.
well, it's a good story.
Good backstory.
Good backstory. And then I started stand-up. I was advised to start stand-up, so I did it as Brian, as like the world's worst stand-up comedian. And aimlessly for 10 years, I just did loads of clubs and sort of failed and did all right sometimes. And then I started doing an internet radio show as the world's worst radio host. And one night, Rupert called in, but he was too shy to talk, so we used this voice software, and one of the voices was this guy. Yeah. And so we created the relationship over Skype, and then Chris was... Who's Chris?
Yeah.
Who's Chris? Chris was listening, and he thought, I want to make Charles, I want to see what he looks like, and then let's do them live. And so, we did them at festivals and sort of back of pubs, and then we made the short, and now we're sort of here. It's weird.
I think it's fair to say that was the night that I was born.
That's so mate.
Thank you, Charles. Before we get to you, Charles, Jim.
Yes.
We're all being really rudely upstaged here, but
Yeah.
Oh, this is a bit.
Jim, so you first made this as a short, and then it expanded into a feature. Can you talk about that journey? Like, how did you first actually encounter these characters, and can you talk about the framework from expanding from a short, which is often, contained ideas, and how that you then realised this can work on a bigger canvas?
Yeah, I mean, I was sent it by Rupert. I was sent the script for the short by Rupert because I knew him anyway, and I knew the characters from the live scene. So yeah, I was immediately on board, and also just was like, I'd seen the live act of Brian and Charles, and was like, when I read the script, it was like completely different, and just like suddenly had all this heart and like emotion. So I was like immediately interested in doing it. As well as just like working with Charles, but then yes. So when we expanded the short, we're like,
Arsehole.
Sorry to interrupt. What is a script?
Very good. Very good.
what's the logic here? So yeah, Charles is an actor in the film. All right.
Yeah.
So then so when we expanded it, we realised I guess we needed to expand the world more, but keep the sort of keep the heart of what we did in the short and keep the sort of tone. So it was a tricky balancing act of trying to the guys added more characters, but we're also trying to keep that sort of small feel to it. So there's a lot of back and forth, but I think we got there.
And when did the idea of the documentary crew come in, which I think is genius, and it affords you a lot of leeway?
Yeah, well, that was there from the start, wasn't it? That was there from the shore. And we talked about not doing it in the feature because we were like, well, I think I specifically was like, I kind of don't want to do that. I'd like to do it narratively. But then actually we realised how much insight we got into like Brian by like how he talks to camera, and also just the comedy from it. Like the fact that he's so lonely, and like you can do this sort of 10-minute scene at the start, 10-minute like section where he's like exposing his soul in a way, and like that sort of thing where he's pretending he's all right but clearly he's not. So you couldn't really do that in any other way without a sort of a crew there to observe it, and also just it's funny.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to add to that?
So sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say that after everything that we have been through over the last 2 years, cinema is more important than ever.
Cool, thanks, Charles. Yeah,
Brilliant.
You weren't really interrupting there, Charles. There was a gap.
We really appreciate that.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Got anything else to say about sort of the return to cinema?
Good to see you all again.
Yeah, okay.
It's been a while. I am just back from LA, hence the hat. This hat says LA on it.
Charles, I've got some questions for you. Last time we saw you, you were on your travels. How was it? Did you find yourself in any way? What did you discover about yourself?
Great question.
Thank you.
Honolulu was everything I dreamed it would be, and more. I discovered that I'm actually a pretty spiritual kind of guy, and I also discovered a lot of parrots. So many parrots. There were literally parrots everywhere. Parrots, 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 parrots. So yeah, that was it.
Wonderful. Can I? I've got a couple more. How did you and David? Perhaps you can both take this question. So you first. How did you create such a lovely on-screen rapport?
Well, look, I know Brian like the back of my hand, and Brian knows me like the back of his hand. We go back a long way, and you could say we are like two peas in the same pea pod. But it would obviously have to be a very big pea pod. Ha ha. Ha 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 ra 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 ha 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 ha.
David?
David, have you got anything to add to that?
David.
I sort of feel like no one's interested.
No, come on.
What was the question? How do we?
Your on-screen rapport.
Well, I think
Be
it was.
confident.
I think it was just all created on the radio show, really. Just that I would chat to Rupert, who would be at home. So I'd ask him a question, and it would take him sort of 20 seconds to type back. So I quite like playing that patient mate who didn't mind the pregnant pauses, and so I think it was definitely created there. And then when we did it live, I felt like we sort of learned what people liked. And yeah, I think without that live experience, we needed that, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm welling up here.
I'm going to drag Rupert out in a minute.
I've got one more question for Charles.
No chance.
I think I might know the answer to this, but the response to the film has been very, very big and rapturous, maybe. That might be hyperbole, but I just wondered how you're coping in the limelight.
Yeah, it has been a pretty cool response. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, you have to be a cool cat and take it all in your stride. Otherwise, like, you will get a big head, and I am happy with my head being the size that it is. Ha 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 ha.
Gotta cut loose. Kicked off Sunday shoes.
Sort of worked, didn't it?
Wow. Okay.
Malfunction.
I've got loads of serious questions, but I just feel like I've got to park them all now.
I know what you mean.
I did want to actually, before we open up to questions, the sense of the absurd is obviously really quite profound in this film. But now, given what's happening in our country this week, feels almost like social realism. And I just wondered, like, how you kind of embrace that sense of. Were you aware of the sense of the zeitgeist? Because obviously you're shooting this during the pandemic, you know, and where actually that idea of like the sense of loneliness was actually really quite profound and a lot discussed. The topic of bullying is actually, it's got a serious message. It's got a real heart. Were you aware of that? Was that conscious or unconscious?
I mean, we were aware of that. It was like the sort of themes were now suddenly extremely current, but we didn't change anything. We didn't like adapt in any way to the sort of to COVID. We just it was just sort of coincidence, really. We didn't want to make a film that was like nodding at anything, really. Just wanted to make our film, and
Yeah, more than anything, I think we just wanted to put him on the screen.
yeah.
And like BFI and Film 4 gave us the opportunity to stick that twat on the screen.
And that twat.
And this twat. And we're just really appreciative to have that chance. And then just before we were about to start filming, COVID hit, like a week before we went into lockdown. And we really thought that ours would be the film that
Yeah.
you guys would shelve.
Yeah.
Come on,
Actually,
we're all thinking it.
BFI were very nice, actually.
Yeah, was it Film 4 that wobbly?
Yeah.
No, it was just amazing that just before Christmas we found this pocket of time and we made it. And then I think a day after we wrapped, Wales went into lockdown. So it's just pure luck and coincidence that, you know, our script kind of maybe resonated.
I would also say shout out to BFI for they gave all the crew who were like signed on to the job like sort of 2 weeks pay, just like they just gave us this sort of sum of money just to give to the crew because now they realise that they wouldn't work for like 6 months. So, which wasn't like sort of forward pay, it was just like, here you go, thank you for making a BFI film. Sorry you can't make it. It was just, it's kind of amazing.
But and I genuinely find it just amazing that BFI and Film 4 just let us make this film. And do you mind? But honestly, it's all about you, isn't it, mate? You and your bloody schnozzle. No, we were really chuffed, and it felt like attack him. It felt like such a sort of gamble because there would be times on set when we'd look at what we were doing and look at that thing and just think, wow, you know.
Yeah, no one else would have given us money to make this.
Yeah, so, but just genuinely appreciative, honestly. Yeah.
I just want to use this platform to say fuck you, Berger. Bye, Boris.
Where did you hear that? Didn't actually hear what you said.
Can you repeat that, Charles?
I'm political now.
Yeah, I'm sure Charles will interrupt me during this, but like, it's a bit of everything, really. It's like we did do
Over to you, Jim.
a lot of this, really, a lot of waiting. Yeah, it was kind of, we did it like this, so we would do it live with.
Go
like,
on.
I'm going on. No, we would do it live, like Rupert sort of in a, like either next to me or sort of offset on the laptop with a little speaker. That would be more for the indoor stuff and like the sort of the more scripted stuff, and then he would like improvise on the laptop for like some bits, so like at the end of the scene. And then we would do, then Chris, wherever he is, would like improvise in the suit, just doing the lines himself. Like that whole scene where he's trying to get in the front, that's all Chris. Just like, and then we just dub it over. So yeah, a bit of a mix really. Yeah, we sort of, yeah. I think you prefer doing it with the voice, don't you?
I prefer it with, not knowing Rupert in the next room, not knowing what he's about to write, and just him tripping me up or, waiting for an age. I prefer that, yeah.
Fond memories. Great question. Over to you, David.
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, that I feel like that's been there a while, isn't it, that?
The monologue, yeah, I think we changed it. You changed it, didn't we? Because
Right.
we originally had the opening was like a lot longer. There was like a big montage of his life, but then we kind of like condensed it massively. So I think we adapted, but it was always a big voiceover at the top.
Yeah, just explaining where he's at, and I don't know if this is relevant to what you said, but we did have a point where he reveals what's happened to him and why he's lonely, and we filmed that scene, didn't we? Which was him sat in his van explaining like what's happened to him, and in the edit, we just went, no one cares. Or we felt like no one cared.
Yeah,
anyway.
it felt like too much detail.
Too much detail,
It's
yeah.
better to for people to sort of fill in the gaps, really. But yeah, but balancing the tone.
It just feels like guesswork to me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And down to your doing as well.
No.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's like a lot of it's found. It was found in the writing, then we would just fiddle in the edit and just find how much. You just don't know until you sort of feel it out, don't you?
Did you test screen it?
No, couldn't.
No.
COVID.
Right.
Yeah, we sent it to like friends.
And we had some really lovely, really useful notes, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we used to know some friends, but it would have been great to do it in like a room like this and just hear where the laughs were, but we couldn't do that.
But I just feel like it's all just guesswork, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And you could have come out with
Instinct.
a load of old crap. Like, someone said to me once that, does this make sense that it's almost impossible to make a crap film? So making a good film is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
To make a crap film, you've done well. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's really
Like,
hard.
just making a crap film is hard.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
If, I know you
Fond
trust your... No, I've had enough of you. But it is hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just sort of trusting your instincts and, I don't know.
Good question.
That's the old fallback.
We did this on set, literally.
I think it's Marvel next.
Yep.
That'll probably be it, to be honest.
I dig that Spider-Man guy.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Charles.
This is going nowhere.
I mean, a lot of credit goes to Chris for that. So Chris built it based on what he heard off the back of the radio show, and just like because it has this kind of like professor kind of voice, I think he just sort of pictured it as this professory kind of character. So,
And because we were doing it, we wanted to do it live. We wanted to make it visually, we wanted to make it sort of blocky and cumbersome, and so it would work on stage. So that was. He's listening to all this.
yeah.
But yeah, that was Chris's idea, and yeah.
Yeah, and then we updated it a bit for the film, but not really. We just sort of made it more like a washing machine and like made the eye a bit better rather than rolled up tape. When we got like the green light from BFI, I think I was like desperate to like find the heads again. So like I just sort of scoured the internet for ages and found sort of 6 of Charles's heads because we needed like loads of them. And then they all look like a little bit more tanned than the original one, but sort of works.
Been to Honolulu.
A lot of people say I look like Jim Broadbent.
True. But yeah, it's all Chris, really. And Hannah, our production designer as well, who updates it.
I think you can see that I'm quite awkward in these situations. So as Brian, it allows me to be really silly and say probably things that are at the front of my mind and be a bit cheeky and inappropriate sometimes. So it gives me that freedom to play. Yeah, he does. God, this is weird.
Can you just actually explain, because not everyone may know that Brian's a travelling character, so that...
Oh, God, yeah. What, as in...
We're talking about Afterlife.
Yeah, and, the
Are you
bits...
talking about Afterlife? Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I never felt like I had the right... I was really chuffed to be given chances, but I really wanted to have that opportunity to do something similar to kind of what I did on stage. It was silly and a bit wonky, but hopefully had a bit of heart. And yeah, so Film 4 and BFI have given me and us that chance to bring the character, just show people and see if they like it. But I wouldn't mind trying other stuff now. Yeah. 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 Thank you.
One more hour to go, guys. Nearly there.
Thanks, Charles. Jim, I wanted to ask about how you created a sense of place, because it does feel like actually where it's set is quite certainly cinematographically important. I had to say that word because we're at the BFI South Bank.
Yeah, is that a word?
Can you talk about because there is a beautiful sense of intimacy but also scale.
Yeah, I sort of wanted it. I sort of like this sort of fairy tale idea for it. So, we wanted to feel real and grounded, but also just like we do with Charles, it's just like we slightly, we twist reality a little bit. So, yeah, we looked at a few locations, but like Snowdonia in Wales was just like perfect for like those kind of valleys that sort of center on like one place, like his house and stuff like that, and just really work for loneliness. And these villages that you find that are like Penmachno, where we shot, was just like, it's literally at a dead end. Like you do drive for like 4 miles, and then to get out, you just have to drive back again. So there's like, yeah. Also, it's just sort of beautiful.
I wanted to shoot it in Basingstoke.
Yeah, you did, yeah. Can't really be serious now, really. But yeah, I just wanted that sort of, I think the fairy tale thing is kind of what we're sort of, a sort of documentary fairy tale style thing.
It was the BFI that told us to be specific, wasn't it, with the location?
Yeah, originally, yeah, we were just gonna be like, oh, it's nowhere. It's this sort of like, it's this sort of slightly fantasy world. But I think, yeah, Mary at BFI was like, no, make sure it's Wales. So we sort of did that. I definitely did laugh today. I can't really remember.
My favourite bit is just them just chilling out in the kitchen, just cooking. I was like, I think it should have been that for 90 minutes. I just seeing them do the mundane and nothing happening, and just looking at Charles, what he's looking at and touching. And yeah, that's my favourite scene.
I'm always,
Yeah.
I'm always the super shover just always works. Like I'm always like I don't feel like we could if we just did that again and just shot it and edited it again. I feel like we've like it's just sort of like the audience clapped here tonight, and that does seem to happen quite a lot. Like and like British audiences clapping in a cinema feels quite it's unusual. So so like yeah, I feel like I'm always very sort of. I laugh at that moment, but I'm also sort of very proud of that. But yeah,
Is there anyone else from the film here, I think, to shout out?
I think there is. Yeah, there's
Jamie's here.
Jamie's here.
Yeah.
Oh, our first is here.
Wow.
Laurie and Murray are here.
Yeah.
Suk and Katrina. Gabby,
Hey,
our costume
Ina.
designer, is there. I think Murray might be here. Maybe not. He'd have
Gorgeous.
said.
Congratulations to.
But like Jamie in that scene as Eddie, I was always scared of playing opposite him because he plays it so well, and I never knew what he was going to do, and putting his fucking finger in my face. All right, mate, we're acting.
Luparinas
Chill out.
dropping soon, guys.
And yeah, so it was so good playing opposite him because I was genuinely feeling fears like, what's he going to do next? And so there's no acting from my side in those scenes. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Jim. Thank you,
Thank you,
David.
Mia.
Thank you, Charles. Rupert. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.